my army of the dead.
Hello and welcome to a brand new build guide video. In this video I will be showcasing with you my chain lightning sorceress build. I just completed world tier 4 at level 60 and it really was not difficult at all. It seems to have pretty good damage now since the patch, so let's get into it. Starting out with the skills, we take Glinting Spark. Spark grants 2% increased critical strike chance per cast for 5 seconds up to 8%. We're always going to be throwing out Glinting Sparks after every other chain lightning, so this will always be proc. Coming down, we take 1 point into Devastation before getting 3 points into Elemental Dominance. Your core skills and mastery skills deal 9% increased damage when cast above 50 mana. You'll see we're always above 50 mana because we're using the crackling energy to get our mana back. We max out Chain Lightning, and then we take Destructive Chain Lightning. When Chain Lightning critically strikes, it has 30% chance to form a Crackling Energy. Crackling Energy is how we get a lot of our mana back and provides us with a lot of damage. Coming down to Elemental Attunement, Lucky Hit critical strikes have up to 15% chance to reset the cooldown of one of your defensive skills. Can only happen once per 10 seconds. This is just a nice passive to have when you're using 3 different defensive skills. As you can see, we have 3 points from our amulet on Glass Cannon. I don't have any hard points in here. Our defensive skills now, we take Teleport. We want Shimmering Teleport. After teleporting, you gain 30% damage reduction for 3 seconds. Always good to have damage reduction. Ice Armor. Now we take Shimmering Ice Armor. Enemies that hit you while Ice Armor is active have 15% chance to become frozen for 3 seconds. Freeze enemies, they can't hurt you. Just a nice passive to have. Frost Nova. Now we then take Mythical Frost Nova. Frost Nova makes enemies vulnerable for 4 seconds, increased to 6 seconds against bosses. This is really one of the only ways we're making enemies vulnerable in this build, so it's crucial to have. Our next passive, now we take 1 point to align the elements before getting our mana shield as well as our protection passives. We then take Precision Magic. Your lucky hit chance is increased by 15%. Coming down to our masteries now, we get 3 points in Icy Veil. I like this because it allows our barriers to last longer, and you'll see with our barriers, it's how we get a lot of our damage. We put 5 points at the Ball Lightning before moving on and getting Wizard's Ball Lightning. If an enemy is hit at least 4 times by a cast of Ball Lightning, a Crackling Energy is formed. This can only happen once per cast. Just another way of getting Crackling Energy and getting mana back. Coming over to our passives now. Static Discharge, Lucky Hit, critical strikes with shock skills have up to 15% chance to form a Crackling Energy. Like I said, another way of getting Crackling Energy. And combined with our next passive, Invigorating Conduit, upon absorbing Crackling Energy, you gain 12 mana. So this is how we get our mana bar to just completely fill up when we just run around and pick up the Crackling Energy. Onto our ultimate skills. We're not taking any ultimate skills, but we do want 1 point in the passive, Coursing Currents. This allows us to get crit chance. I don't believe more than 1 point is necessary. Moving on, we then get Electrocution. Enemies deal 15% less damage for 5 seconds after being critically struck by your shock skills. We're always going to be critically striking, so this allows us to stay alive. Then we put 1 point into Convulsions. Just nice to have a little bit of stun chance. Our key passive, we take Veer's Mastery. Close enemies take 15% increased damage from your shock skills and deal 20% less damage to you. Critical strikes increase these bonuses by 25% for 3 seconds. Like I said, always going to be crit striking, so this passive should be always proc. As for our enchantments, we will be using the Chain Lightning enchantment. Chain Lightning forms automatically after spending 100 mana. This is just a free cast and allows you to get more Crackling Energy to form. Our second enchantment, we are using Ball Lightning. Lucky Hit, critical strikes have up to 25% chance to spawn a static Ball Lightning. Between the two, we're always just constantly having both of our enchantments being proc. Before moving on to the gear, I want to let you know that there will be D4 Planner in the description of this video so you can follow along, look for the aspects that you want on the gear, because my gear is not really min-maxed. It just has the proper aspects to get you through World Tier 4. Our helmet now, we use the aspects. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 2 seconds. This is just the base roll. I think it's very handy for damage reduction and keeping you alive. We're always casting our spark, like I said, so this will always be procced. Coming to our chest piece now, you gain 0.25% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 15%. Because we're doing lightning damage and all kinds of little spark damage, this skyrockets so fast. You get this bonus really, really quickly. Onto our gloves now. You deal 35% increased damage to immobilized, stunned, or frozen enemies. We have stun and frozen in this build, so this allows us to take advantage of that 35%. Moving on to our pants now. Casting ice armor makes you unstoppable and grants 10% bonus armor for 4 seconds. Unstoppable is king in this game. If you can't be stopped, you can't be really killed. That's my motto, so no brainer there. Coming to our boots now, I am using SU's Heirloom. Your crit strike chance is increased by 23% of your movement speed bonus. This is not required by any means. If I didn't have these boots, I would use the aspect that allows us to get movement speed for crit strikes, just to allow us to move quicker through the dungeons. Moving on to our weapon now, we are using the core or mastery skills. Cast at or above 100 mana, gain 38% increased crit strike chance. Like I said, we're always going to be getting crackling energy, so our mana pool is always going to be skyrocketing to full, allowing us to take advantage of this aspect. Moving on to our offhand, we take the aspect, deal 21% increased damage while you have a barrier active. We always have a barrier active when we cast a defensive skill or a cooldown, so this allows us to take advantage of this aspect almost 100% of the time. Coming to our jewelry slots now, our first ring, we take Crackling Energy, has 38% chance to chain to an additional enemy. We're always using Crackling Energy in this build, so it just makes sense to use the Crackling Energy aspect to give us more damage. Our next ring, we take Ball Lightning, orbits around you, dealing 15% increased damage. This aspect got buffed in the previous patch, so it is worth using with this build. Our amulet slot, we are using Chain Lightning, has 59% chance to chain to 4 additional enemies. Chain Lightning is the majority of how we're getting our Crackling Energy, how we're getting our mana back so quickly. So having it in this slot and allowing us to get the most out of the percent chance is just worth it right there. Our first Malignant Heart, we are using a Brutal Heart. After taking elemental damage, you gain 26% damage reduction for 7 seconds. This also got a buff in the previous patch, and this allows you to take just flat damage reduction instead of resistance like it was, so it makes it much more worth using. Our next Malignant Heart now, we're using the Vicious Heart. Every 5 seconds, while above 60% life, core skills cost 323 life instead of your primary resource. Skills that consume life deal 18% increased damage. This allows our Chain Lightning to do added damage at the cost of life. And last heart is our Devious Heart. After spending 173 of your primary resource, your next attack stuns enemies for 4 seconds. This is one that I would swap out for the barrier Brutal Heart. Allows you to get health back when you have barrier. I eventually will swap it out to something like that, but I haven't found the amulet to do so. Moving on to our Paragon board now, we come up the right side and take our Elementalist node for the 20% non-physical damage and the 4% life. We came up and got our Glyph Socket. I'm using Destruction. Crit strikes increase all damage the enemy takes from you by 2% for 10 seconds up to 12%. This is just a no-brainer with all the crit in our build. Should be number 1 on your list. Came up the left side here and got Elemental Balance. 20% non-physical damage plus the 10% intelligence is really nice. Moving on to our first board, we take the Ceaseless Conduit. Crackling Energy has 25% chance to not consume a charge when triggered. Crackling energy damage is increased by 3% for 20 total intelligence you have. Current bonus is 54%. I made the board this way and got our conduit rare node first before moving on and getting our legendary conduit node here. After that, we then moved on and got our next glyph socket and then our next rare node. On our next glyph socket here, we have charge. Picking up a crackling energy grants you 5% increased damage for 5 seconds. I currently don't have this unlocked yet. I still need 20 more intelligence, but once this comes online, this is going to add much more damage to the build. As you can see, I'm only level 60 right now, so I'll be moving on to this next rare node here before moving on to our next board. But if you want to stay up to date with the build and the sorceress itself, give me a subscription and give me a like too, because I will be posting a updated build guide as I progress, probably right around level 75 to 80, and I will update you further there. Like I said, that does it for me in this one. If you like this video, give me a like and think about subscribing. I post content every few days, and I'll see you on the next video.